In this video, I'm going to take you through the process of doing what's called one-point perspective. Now, in order to be good at one-point perspective, we have to have watched and attempted and understood the concept of drawing with squares and understanding proportion. Now, you can follow along with a pencil, but since my camera sometimes struggles to see the pencil lines, I'm going to be using a biro instead. So, one-point perspective. First thing we have to put in is decide where our horizon line is. This is the far distance. This is the edge of the world. Now, if we put our horizon line up high, that means that we, as observers and sketchers, are up high. We're in the sky. If we put our horizon line in the middle, that means we're kind of in the middle, maybe perhaps at our own eye level. And if we put the horizon line down low, that leads to the viewer of the sketch feeling like they're tiny, like they're a little worm or something like that, because the horizon is your eye level. So if you were doing an aerial view of a city, for example, and you had to imagine yourself being in a helicopter, you would be putting a horizon line up high. If you were drawing something from a human's point of view, your eye level will probably be around the middle of the page. And if you wanted to show something from a tiny microscopic point of view, just an inch or two from the ground, then we'd be putting the horizon line down there. For now though, let's just stick in a horizon line, a nice light line going right across the page, and it needs a dot in the middle, something called our vanishing point, right here. Now, to start off with one-point perspective, we have to begin by drawing one of our perfect squares, which you'll recall is constructed from light lines and diagonals and crosses like this. So in one-point perspective, we always draw the face of the object first. Okay, it faces towards us. And you'll see when we come to other forms of perspective drawing where we start with edges, this is the main difference. When we're doing one-point perspective, we start with a face. So one-point perspective is a 3D drawing technique. We start with a 2D shape, which is our square, and we're now going to extend this back into the distance to our vanishing point, which is a point on the horizon, in order to turn a 2D sketch into a 3D sketch. Now, I'm going to start to turn the page just so I can get to my comfortable sketching angle, but essentially from each corner of the square, we project it back, we send lines backwards, and I'm using the whole arm, and I'm using my light line sketching technique here to send them back. Now for now, although we won't make use of it, we're also going to send back this corner too. That's the start of our projection. Along those lines, the square is going to move to give us our 3D box. So our next decision to make is to decide where the back edge of this box is going to be. Now, that's up to me. I'm going to pop it straight in there. And I want you to notice from the outset, the line I draw at the back is parallel to the line I've drawn at the front. These are straight up and down, as should that be. From that point there, from that intersection between that line and the vertical line that I've drawn, we want to continue the back edge of the box, which is a line going horizontally. And again, you'll notice that the horizontal line is parallel to the other horizontal lines. And then we need to join these up. Let's darken the lines where our projected line meets our back and front edges. Let's join them up with, and also let's darken in now. Remember, we took a projected line from this corner all the way back. We're not making use of that just yet, but it's an important habit to get into when we start to draw see-through objects and objects for which we can see out of. Let's darken this up just for the point of view of clarity, and so it doesn't smudge when I'm drawing over it. So this is our first perspective cube. Started off with a square, projected it back to the vanishing point, and we decided where the back edges were, and then we joined up the front and the back edges. Let's do another one. So we start off with a face, 1 point perspective. Let's get that perfect square in there. Let's build it up using our little light diagonals and our little cross members like that. And then again, step 2 is to project these back. Keep your lines nice and light. You don't want these lines fighting for attention when your sketch is finished. Keep them nice and light. You should be merely touching the page, the lightest possible line you can get. You may even want to try a pencil such as a 2H or a 4H to help you with this. So we've drawn the face, we've projected them back to the vanishing point. Now we have to decide where the back edge is. Well, this box was nice and fat, so let's do something slightly different. Let's pick a little skinny, a little thin box here. I'm purposefully overshooting the lines that I know I want to stop at, just because that's nice sketch technique. And now we have to go through the process of joining up our front face and our back edge. And we do that by darkening the projection lines that go between them. And again, darkening the edges that we want to keep. And you'll notice that it's so important that we have a difference between our light lines and our heavy lines, so that the eye can tell which is more important than the other. Okay, at this stage we've drawn a cube above the horizon line and a cube below the horizon line. I want you to notice the difference between these. In the first cube that we drew, it sat below the horizon line. It was below our eye level. So it follows then that we can see the top of the cube because it's below our eye level. Remember, this line here can either be referred to as the horizon or your eye level. It's below our eye level, so we can see the top of it. This cube is above the horizon. It's above our eye level, so we can now see the bottom of it. Let's draw another one. This time, let's not stick to a square. Let's elongate this and draw a rectangle. The process is the same. We start off by drawing a face first of all. I'm going to turn this rectangle into a box. Now, it's really important that we can master the art of drawing 3D boxes, because all other types of design sketching that fall from this assume that you can fit things into boxes in the world. So there's the face drawn, and there's the lines projected backwards to the vanishing point. Now we have to decide where the back of this box is. Let's plop it around there. There's the back vertical edge and the back horizontal edge. Again, notice these are parallel. All the vertical edges go straight up and down, and all the edges going across the way are exactly horizontal. And then to complete the cube, we join up and we darken the front face with the back edge. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a projection line from that corner. We did it in the first example. We're doing it in the third example here. We're not making use of that, but we will in this next one. Because now what we're going to draw is a see-through cube, a see-through box. I'm going to show you how you construct that. I'm also going to put the lid on my pen so it doesn't dry out. So this time we're going to draw a see-through box. We're going to draw it below the horizon. So let's start. This time we're going to be doing a tall rectangle to start with. Okay. Let's get our little construction lines in. These are super light on my page. I think the camera's just about picking them up. So there's the front face drawn. let's project the shape that we've just drawn from each corner back to the vanishing point. And this time we have to project this line back here. Okay. In fact, I'm going to use a different colour. I hope this shows up in the video. Okay. I'm still keeping it light, but I want to use blue in there. Okay. That's us projecting a line which, if it was a box, an actual real box in front of us, we wouldn't be able to see that line at all, but we have to make use of it if we're drawing a see-through box. So now again, step 1 was to draw the face, step 2, project all the corners back, step 3 is we decide where the back of the box is. Now in the previous examples we only had to concern ourselves with those 2 lines right there, but because we're drawing a see-through box, we have to also draw, with the sketch in, the lines that form the entire back face of the box. Now, if your box is well constructed and you've taken care out of it, then this vertical line dropping down the back and the new horizontal line that we're drawing should pretty much meet this new projected line going back. And I'm quite happy with that, it's close enough. So I'm going to darken out the edges of the box that I can see. Again, I have to imagine if this was an actual real box in front of me, I asked myself if I could reach into the paper and I could touch the edges of the box. If I could touch the edges of the box, then they get darkened and they become heavy. Which are those edges right there. The back of the box are the edges that I couldn't touch. Okay, they're hidden from me, they're out of reach. And I'm going to introduce a new line type in here. We're going to introduce the concept of a dashed line, which is a drawing standard to denote an edge or a feature that is hidden. And that's us drawing a see-through box. Now you'll notice that we've drawn boxes above the horizon line so that we can see underneath them, and we've drawn boxes below the horizon line of which we can see the top. It's an interesting little experiment to see what happens if you draw bang on the horizon line. And the truth is that when you end up doing that, you see neither bottom nor top. But let's make use of those projections back from there and from that corner as well. Let's decide where the back is. I'm going to project, I'm going to find that entire back face as well. So we could stop there and we could see that we can see neither the bottom nor the top, but because we've just done a hidden detail exercise, let's darken up that back edge that we can't see with a dotted line, a dashed line. So that's 1 point perspective. Try that, get a piece of paper, put in your horizon line, mark your vanishing point and draw an array of boxes around it.